Hello friends, welcome to Premier UPSC IAS. So continuing with the environment lectures, today we are going to cover the biodiversity and this could be the last environment lecture. Remember, this is only the static part of the environment and this is only for prelims examination. Only important points are covered, not the detailed concepts. Biodiversity. Introduction. Biodiversity is our living wealth. Biodiversity, as we have today, is the result of 2.5 to 3.5 billion years of evolution. Before the advent of humans, our Earth supported more biodiversity than any other period. Since the emergence of humans, however, biodiversity has begun a rapid decline, with one species after another bearing the brunt of extinction due to overuse. What is biodiversity? Biodiversity is a system in constant evolution from a viewpoint of species as well as from viewpoint of an individual organism. It describes a variability among living organisms from all sources, including terrestrial, marine, and other aquatic ecosystems, and the ecological complexes of which they are an integral part. It describes the variability among living organisms from all sources, including terrestrial, marine, and other aquatic ecosystems, and the ecological complexes of which they are an integral part. It also includes diversity within species, between species, and of ecosystems. In simple terms, biodiversity is the number and variety of organisms found within a specified geographic region. It refers to the varieties of plants, animals, and microorganisms, the genes they contain, and the ecosystems they form. Biodiversity is not found evenly on the Earth. It consistently richer in the tropics. As one approaches the polar regions, one finds larger and larger populations of fewer and fewer species. Levels of biodiversity. Level 1 has genetic diversity. Level 2 has species diversity, and level 3 has ecosystem diversity. Level 3 diversity, terrestrial ecosystem, aquatic ecosystem. In the terrestrial ecosystem, a rat is the species 1 and a rabbit is the species 2, that is level 1 diversity. In the aquatic species, fish is the species 1 and crab species is the species 2, level 2 diversity. Genetic diversity. Groups of individual organisms having certain similarities in their physical characteristics are called species. Genetic diversity defines the variation in genes within a particular species. It describes the total number of genetic characteristics in the genetic makeup of a species. This genetic diversity is essential for healthy breeding of population of species. Genetic diversity allows adaptability of the species to change environments. If a species has more genetic variation, it can adapt better to the changed environmental conditions. The genetic diversity gives us parakeets, beautiful butterflies, roses, or coral in myriad colors, shapes, and sizes. Species diversity. Species diversity refers to the variety of species within a geographical area. It refers to the variety of living organisms on Earth, as the species differ from one another with regard to their genetic makeup. Species diversity is the ratio of one species population over a total number of organisms across all species in the given biome. Zero represents infinite diversity and one represents that only one species is present. Species diversity is not evenly distributed across the globe. The overall richness of species is concentrated in equatorial regions and tends to decrease as one moves from equatorial to polar regions. In addition, biodiversity inland ecosystems generally decreases with increasing altitude. In marine ecosystems, species richness tends to be much higher in continental shelves. Areas rich in species diversity are called hotspots of diversity. The diversity of species can be measured through its richness, abundance, and types. Species richness is the number of various species in a defined area. Species abundance is the relative numbers among species. Taxonomic or phylogenetic diversity means the genetic relationships between different groups of species. Ecosystem or community diversity. It refers to different types of habitats. A habitat is the cumulative factor of the climate, vegetation, and geography of a region. The broad differences between ecosystem types and the diversity of habitats and ecological processes occurring within each ecosystem type constitute an ecosystem diversity. For instance, tropical South India with rich species diversity will have altogether different structure compared to the desert ecosystem which has far less number of plant and animal species. The boundaries of the communities, associations of species, and ecosystems are not very rigidly defined. Thus, the demarcation of ecosystem boundaries is difficult and complex. India has very diverse terrestrial and aquatic ecosystems, ranging from the ice-capped Himalayas to deserts, from arid scrub to grassland to wetlands and tropical rainforests, from coral reefs to the deep sea. The most diversity-rich are Western Ghats and the northeastern region. A very large number of species found in these ecosystems are endemic or found in these areas only in India. Services provided by the biodiversity. Ecosystem services. Protection of water resources, soil formation, nutrient storage and recycling, pollution breakdown and absorption, contribution to climate stability, maintenance of ecosystems, recovery from unpredictable events. Biological services. Food, medicinal resources and pharmaceutical drugs, wood products, ornamental plants, etc. Diversity in genes, species and ecosystems, etc. Social services, research, education and monitoring, recreation and tourism, cultural values, sacred groves, etc. Causes of loss of biodiversity. Loss of biodiversity occurs when either a particular species is destroyed or the habitat essential for the survival of a species is damaged. The latter is more common as habitat destruction is inevitable fallout of the development process. The extinction of species takes place when they are exploited for economic gain, like poaching for skin, tusk, etc., or hunted as a sport, example black buck, etc., or for food. Extinction of species may also occur due to environment-related reasons, like ecological substitutions, biological factors, and pathological causes which can be caused either by nature or man. Extinction indicates the end of a species which is inevitable when the capacity to breed and recovery is lost. That is, when they are no longer able to survive in changing the environment or against the superior competitor, finally marked by the death of the last individual of that species. Hotspots of biodiversity. Biodiversity is not uniformly distributed across the geographical regions of the Earth. Certain regions of the world are very rich in biodiversity. These areas are called megadiversity zones. These are also known as hotspots. For example, India accounts for only 2.4% of the land area of the world, but it contributes approximately 8% species to the global diversity due to the existence of such pockets, that is, hotspots. In Madagascar, about 85% of the plants and animals are found which nowhere else in the world. Criteria of hotspots. Norman Myers, a British ecologist, developed the concept of hotspots in 1988 to designate priority areas for in situ conservation. According to him, the hotspots are the richest and the most threatened reservoirs of biodiversity on the earth. The criteria for determining a hotspot are the following. 1. The area should support more than 1500 vascular plants as endemic species. And 2. It must have lost over 70% of the original habitat. There are currently 36 recognized biodiversity hotspots. Four hotspots are found in India, namely the Eastern Himalayas, the Western Ghats, the Indo-Burma region, and the Sundaland. Includes Nicobar group of islands. There are some countries which are situated in the tropical region. They possess a large number of world species diversity. They are called mega diversity centers. There are seven such countries in which these centers are located. India is one of these mega diversity centers. Biodiversity conservation. Conservation of biological diversity leads to conservation of essential ecological diversity to preserve the continuity of food chains. Conservation of biodiversity is also important due to the following. 1. Prevent the loss of genetic diversity of a species. 2. Save a species from becoming extinct. And 3. Protect ecosystems damage and degradation. There are two types of conservation. One, ex situ conservation. Two is in situ conservation. In ex situ conservation, conserving biodiversity outside the areas where they naturally occur is known as ex situ conservation. For example, botanical gardens, zoo, gene banks, seed bank, tissue culture, and cryopreservation, etc. In situ conservation, the process of conserving the animals and plants in their natural habitats is known as in situ conservation. The established natural habitats are national parks, sanctuaries, biosphere reserves, and reserved forests, protected areas, forests, nature reserves, etc. Constraints in biodiversity conservation. Low priority accorded for the conservation of living natural resources, exploitation of living natural resources for monetary gain, values and knowledge about the species and ecosystem inadequately known and such knowledge systems are not conserved. Unplanned urbanization and uncontrolled industrialization leads to destruction of habitats. Protected area network. Protected areas. According to IUCN, a protected area is a clearly defined geographical space recognized, dedicated, and managed through legal or other effective means to achieve the long term conservation of nature with associated ecosystem services and cultural values. Helping countries and communities designate and manage systems for protected areas on land and in the oceans is one of the IUCN's main areas of expertise. Protected areas such as national parks, wildlife sanctuaries, community conserved areas, nature reserves, and so on are a mainstay of biodiversity conservation while also contributing to people's livelihoods, particularly at the local level. Protected area systems are both ends and means. Protected areas are at the core of efforts towards conserving nature and the services it provides us food, clean water supply, medicines, and protection from the impacts of natural disasters. Effectively managed systems of protected areas have been recognized as critical instruments in achieving the objectives of the Convention on Biological Diversity and the Sustainable Development Goals, that is CBD and SDGs. Global Protected Areas Program. The Global Protected Areas Program implements the IUCN program for 2017-2020 across all programmatic elements. The priorities of the Global Protected Area Program will help deliver IUCN's 2017-2020 global program. Three programmatic elements of IUCN's new quadrennial program GPAP has three priority areas as outlined below. Valuing and conserving biodiversity, governing nature's use and sharing its benefits equitably, deploying nature-based solutions to global challenges, etc., etc. 1. National parks and sanctuaries. National parks and sanctuaries are areas of significant ecological, floral, faunal, or natural significance. They are notified by the state governments and protected by the forest departments. They are protected under the provisions of the following legislation: Wildlife Protection Act 1972 and its amendments, Forest Protection Act of 1980, Biological Diversity Act 2002, and the Scheduled Tribes and Other Traditional Forest Dwellers Recognition of Forest Rights Act 2006. Hunting of wild animals, encroachment and or destruction of habitats, construction of tourist lodges and other such activities are prohibited in protected areas. A national park is a protected area which is reserved for the conservation of only animals where no human interference in any form of harvesting of timber, collecting minor forest products, and private ownership rights is allowed. While a wildlife sanctuary is a protected area which is reserved for the conservation of only animal and human activities like harvesting of timber, collecting minor forest products, and private ownership rights are allowed as long as they do not interfere with the well being of animals. So, that is the difference between national park and wildlife sanctuary. While most of the provisions are common for sanctuaries and national parks, there are four key differences. All rights of people within a national park have to be settled, while in sanctuaries, certain rights can be allowed. Livestock grazing is prohibited in a national park but can be allowed in a regulated manner in sanctuaries. A sanctuary can be upgraded to a national park, but a national park cannot be downgraded as a sanctuary. And boundaries of sanctuaries are not well defined. and controlled biotic interference is permitted while the boundaries of a national park are well defined and no biotic interference is permitted. List of national parks. Andaman and Nicobar Islands. Campbell Bay National Park, Galatia National Park, Mahatma Gandhi Marine National Park, also called as Van Dude National Park, Middle Button Island National Park, Mount Harriet National Park, North Button Island National Park, Rani Jhansi Marine National Park, Saddle Peak National Park, South Button Island National Park are all the national parks present in Andaman and Nicobar Islands. Andhra Pradesh. Papikunda National Park, Rajiv Gandhi National Park, Sri Venkateshwara National Park in Andhra Pradesh. In Andhra Pradesh. Arunachal Pradesh. Namdapha National Park, Mauling National Park. Assam. Dibru-Sakhova National Park, Kaziranga National Park, Manas National Park, Nameri National Park, Orang. Nameri National Park, Orang National Park in Assam. In Bihar. Valmiki National Park, Kanwar Lake Bird Sanctuary, Vikramshila Gangetic Dolphin Sanctuary, Vikramshila, Vikramshila Gangetic Dolphin Sanctuary, Chhattisgarh, Indravati National Park, Kanger Ghati National Park or Kanger Valley, Guru Ghasidas Sanjay National Park, in Goa, Bhagwan Mahavir Mullem National Park, Gujarat, Vansda National Park, Blackbuck National Park, Velavadar, Gir National Park, Gulf of Kutch Marine National Park, Haryana, Kalesar National Park, Sultanpur National Park, Himachal Pradesh, Great Himalayan National Park, Pin Valley National Park, Indrakilla National Park, Khirganga National Park, Simbalbara National Park, Jammu and Kashmir, Dachigam National Park, Hemis National Park, Kishtwar National Park, Salimali National Park, Jharkhand, Betla National Park, Dimna National Park, Hazaribagh National Park, Kerala, Eraviculam National Park, Mathiketan Chola National Park, Periyar National Park, Silent Valley National Park, Anamuri Shola National Park, and Pamparam Shola National Park, Karnataka. Anshi National Park, Rajiv Gandhi National Park, Bandipur National Park, Bannerghatta National Park, Kudremukh National Park, Manipur, Kebul Lamjao National Park, Sirohi National Park, Meghalaya, Balpakram National Park, Nokrek National Park, Madhya Pradesh, Bandhavgarh National Park, Mandla Plant Fossil National Park, Kanha National Park, Madhav National Park, Panna National Park, Pench National Park, Sanjay National Park, Satpura National Park, Van Vihar National Park, Maharashtra, Maharashtra, Chandoli National Park, Gugamal National Park, Navegao National Park, Pench National Park, Sanjay Gandhi Borivali National Park, Tadoba National Park. Continuing with Mizoram, Murleam National Park, Fangpui Blue Mountain National Park, Nagaland, Tangi National Park, Odisha, Bhitakarnika National Park, Nandakandan National Park, Simlipal National Park, Punjab, Harike Wetlands, Rajasthan, Dara National Park, Desert National Park, Kiwalado National Park, Mount Abu Wildlife Sanctuary, Ranthambore National Park, Sariska National Park. Sikkim, Kangchenjunga National Park, Tamil Nadu, Mudumalai National Park, Mukurthi National Park, Indira Gandhi Annamalai National Park, Gwindi National Park, Gulf of Mannar Marine National Park, Tripura, Bisol Rajbari National Park, Clouded Leopard National Park, Uttar Pradesh, Dhudwa National Park, Gangotri National Park, Govind Pashu Vihar, Jim Corbett National Park, Nanda Devi National Park, Rajaji National Park, Valley of Flowers National Park. Conservation reserves. It is an area owned by the state government adjacent to national parks and sanctuaries for protecting the landscape, seascape, and habitat of fauna and flora. It is managed through a conservation reserve management committee. State government may, after having consultations with the local communities, declare any area owned by the government as a conservation reserve. Tiruppadai Conservation Reserve in Tirunelveli, Tamil Nadu is the first conservation reserve established in the country. Community reserves. State government may notify any community land or private land as a community reserve, provided that the members of that community or concerned are agreeable to offer such areas for protecting the fauna and flora as well as their traditions, cultures, and practices. The declaration of such an area is aimed at improving the socio-economic conditions of the living in such areas and conserving the reserve is managed through a reserve management committee. No change in the land use pattern shall be made within the community reserve except in according with the resolution passed by the management committee and approval by of same by the state government. Marine protected areas. It aims to protect and conserve the natural marine ecosystems in their pristine condition. According to IUCN, marine protected areas MPA as an area, any area of intertidal and subtidal terrain, together with its overlaying water and associated flora, fauna, historical and cultural features, which has been reserved by law or other effective means to protect part or all of the enclosed environment. The marine protected areas in the marine environment in India are primarily classified into the following three categories. Category 1 discovers the national parks and sanctuaries and having entire areas in intertidal and subtidal or mangroves, coral reefs, creeks, seagrass beds, algal beds, estuaries, lagoons, etc. Category 2. This includes islands which have major parts in the marine ecosystem and some part in the terrestrial ecosystem. Category 3A. This includes sandy beaches beyond the intertidal line but occasionally interacting with the seawater. Category 3B. This includes evergreen or semi-evergreen forests of islands. Sacred groves of India. A traditional strategy for the protection of biodiversity has been in practice in India and some other Asian countries in the form of sacred forests. These are small forest patches protected by tribal communities due to religious sanctity. These have been free from all disturbances. Sacred forests are located in several parts of India, that is, Karnataka, Maharashtra, Kerala, Meghalaya, etc. Similarly, several water bodies have been declared sacred by the people, leading to protection of aquatic flora and fauna. For example, Palri Lake in Sikkim. Biosphere reserves. The International Coordination Council (ICC) of UNESCO introduced the designation of biosphere reserve for natural areas in the year 1971. Biosphere reserve is an international designation by UNESCO for representing parts of natural and cultural landscapes which extends over a large area of terrestrial or coastal marine ecosystems or a combination thereof. Biosphere reserves are special areas for both people and nature and are living examples of how human beings and nature can coexist while respecting each other's needs. Biosphere reserves are sites established by nations and recognized under UNESCO's Man and Biosphere program. Biosphere reserves are nominated by national governments and remain under the sovereign jurisdiction of the states where they are located. Their status is internationally recognized. A biosphere reserve consists of the following three zones: core zone, buffer zone, and transition zone. You can see the difference, and I hope you almost know it already. Core zone. It is legally protected ecosystem in which entry is not allowed. Sampling for scientific investigation is prohibited. The buffer zone. Managed to accommodate a greater variety of resource use strategies in research and educational activities. The transition zone. It is an area of active cooperation between the reserve management and the local people, wherein activities like settlements, cropping, forestry, recreation, and other economic activities that are in harmony with the conservation goals. Functions of biosphere reserves. One, conservation. Two, development. Three, scientific research, monitoring, and education. The Man and Biosphere Program, that is MAB. The Man and Biosphere Program is an intergovernmental scientific program aiming to set a scientific basis for the improvement of the relationships between people and their environment globally. Launched in the early 1970s, it proposes an interdisciplinary research agenda and capacity building that target the ecological, social, and economic dimensions of biodiversity loss and the reduction of this loss. By focusing on sites internationally recognized within the World Network of Biosphere Reserves, the Man and Biosphere program strives to the following: to identify and assess the changes, the effects of these changes on humans and environments, to study and compare the dynamic interrelationships between nature, near natural ecosystems, and socio-economic processes, to promote the exchange and transfer of knowledge on environmental problems and solutions, and to foster environmental education for sustainable development, to ensure basic human welfare and a livable environments. List of biosphere reserves under UNESCO and the age when it was designated. 2000 Nilgiri Western Ghats, 2001 Gulf of Mannar, Tamil Nadu and Sundarban, West Bengal, 2004 Nanda Devi, Uttarakhand, 2009 Noprik, Meghalaya, Panchmari, Madhya Pradesh and Simlipal, Odisha, 2012 Achanak Amarkantak, MP and Chhattisgarh, 2013 Great Nicobar Islands, 2016 Agastya Malai, Kerala and Tamil Nadu, 2018 Kangchenjunga, Sikkim. Faunal diversity. Vertebrates. Vertebrates are animals which has backbones and spinal columns. Vertebrates are the most advanced organisms on Earth. Older vertebrates represent only a very small percentage of all animals. Their size and mobility often allow them to dominate their environment. For example, reptiles, fishes, amphibians, mammals, etc. Invertebrates. Invertebrates are animals which do not have backbones. More than 97% of the animal species in the world are invertebrates. They don't have an internal skeleton made of bone. Many invertebrates have a fluid-filled hydrostatic skeleton like the jellyfish or worm. Others have a hard outer shell like insects and crustaceans. Protozoa, arthropods, crustaceans, insects, arachnids are the other invertebrates. Annelids. They have bodies that are divided into segments. They have very well developed internal organs. They are found almost anywhere in the world. Annelids don't have any limbs. For example, earthworms, leeches, roundworms, etc. Mollusks. They have a soft skin-like organ covered with a hard outside shell. Some mollusks live on land, such as the snail and slug. Some other mollusks, like in water, live in water, such as the squid, oyster, mussel, clam, and octopus. Echinoderms. They are marine animals. Most echinoderms have arms or spines that radiate from the center of their body. Common echinoderms include the sea stars, sea urchins, and dollar and sea cucumber. Marsupials. The group of mammals commonly thought of as pouched mammals like the wallaby and kangaroo. They have a placenta, but it is very short-lived and does not make as much of a contribution to fetal nourishment. They give birth very early, and the young animal, essentially a helpless embryo, climbs from the mother's birth canal to the nipples. They have short gestation time due to having a yolk-type placenta in the mother marsupial. For example, philanders, opossum, polar, Tasmanian devils, etc. Floral diversity. Herbs, shrub, and tree. Herb is defined as a plant whose stem is always green and tender with a height of not more than 1 meter. Shrub is defined as a woody perennial plant differing from a perennial herb in its persistent and woody stem. It differs from a tree in its long stature and its habit of branching from the base not more than 6 meters in height. Tree is defined as a large woody perennial plant having a single well-defined stem with a more or less definite crown. Epiphytes. A plant growing on the host plant but not nourished by the host plant. They only take the help of the host plant in getting access to sunlight. Their roots perform two functions. While changing roots establish the plant on the branches of host plant, aerial roots draw moisture from the air. For example, vanda, clambers, etc. Insectivorous plants. These plants are specialized in trapping insects and are popularly known as insectivorous plants. They can be divided into two types based on their method of trapping their prey, that is, active and passive types. The active plants can close their leaf straps the moment insects land on them. Unlike active ones, passive ones plants don't have a closing mechanism. Instead, they have a pitfall mechanism. They having some kind of a jaw or pitcher-like structure into which the insect slips and falls, which eventually be digested. Reasons for hunting. These plants are usually associated with lateritic, nutrient-poor soils or wet and acidic areas that are ill-drained. They are acidic because of anaerobic conditions which cause partial decomposition of the organic matter, releasing acidic compounds into the surroundings. Most of the microorganisms which are necessary for complete decomposition of organic matter cannot survive in such poorly oxygenated conditions. Hence, insectivorous plants supplement their photosynthetic food production by trapping insects and digesting their nitrogen-rich bodies. Algae. The green non-differentiated plants non-differentiate into organs like root, stem, and leaf. Possessing chlorophyll is known as an algae. The freshwater algae are generally green or blue-green in color, whereas the marine ones are red or brown. These are autotrophic plants as they can manufacture their own foods. Fungi. Non-green, non-differentiated plants characterized by the total absence of chlorophyll are called fungi. Mouls and mushrooms are familiar examples of saprophytic fungi. The maximum diversity of fungi is in the Western Ghats, followed by the Eastern Ghats and the Western Ghats, Himalaya in India. Bacteria. Non-chlorophyllous microorganisms which have saprophytic or parasitic existence. Many of them are pathogenic. Saprophytic bacteria are rather beneficial. They are soil-borne and many of them are used in industries. Lichens, a peculiar combination of an algae and a fungus. The two live deriving mutual benefit. They are a group of grayish-green plants which grow on rocks, tree trunks, dead wood, etc. The algae manufacture carbohydrate food which becomes available to the fungus, and the latter absorbs and retains water and thus keeps the algal self moist. So it is a nice example of symbiosis. Bryophytes. The plant body is differentiated into a small stem and simple leaves where true roots are absent. They usually grow in moist places, for example, liverworts, mosses, etc. They are the second largest group of green plants in India, distributed largely in eastern Himalaya, northeastern India, western Himalaya, and the western Ghats. Mosses constitute the major component of Indian flora, followed by liverwort and hornworts. Seagrass. They are specialized angiosperms, marine flowering plants that resemble grass in appearance. They produce flowers, have strap-like or oval leaves, and a root system. They grow in shallow coastal waters with sandy or muddy bottoms and require comparatively calm areas. They are the only group of higher plants adapted to live in the salt water. Major seagrass meadows in India occur along the southeast coasts of Tamil Nadu and in the lagoons of a few Lakshadweep islands. Seaweeds. They are thalloid plants, macroscopic algae, which mean they have no differentiation of host tissues such as roots, stems, and leaves. Seaweeds have leaf-like appendages. It grows in shallow coastal waters wherever sizable substrate is available. Uses of seaweeds. Seaweeds are important as food for humans, feed for animals, and fertilizer for plants. Seaweeds are used as a drug for goiter treatment, intestinal and stomach disorders. Products like agar-agar and alginates, iodine, which are of commercial value, are extracted from seaweeds. By the biodegradation of seaweeds, methane, like economically important gases, can be produced in large quantities. It is a potential indicators of pollution in coastal ecosystems, particularly heavy metal pollution due to their ability to bind and accumulate metals strongly. Rotting seaweed is a potent source of hydrogen sulfide, a highly toxic gas. Indian biodiversity. Himalayan foothills. Flora. Natural monsoon evergreen and semi-evergreen forests dominant species like sal, silk, cotton trees, giant bamboos, tall grassy meadow with savannas and terrain. Fauna includes big mammals of like elephant sambar, swamp deer, cheetal, hog deer, barking deer, wild boar, tiger, panther, wild dogs, hyena, black bear, sloth bear, porcupine, great Indian one-horned rhinoceros, wild buffalo, gangetic gharial, golden langur, etc. Western Himalayas, high altitude region. Flora. Natural monsoon evergreen and semi-evergreen forests, rhododendrons, dwarf hill bamboo and birch forests mixed with alpine pastures. Fauna. Wild wild ass, wild goat, star, markhor, ibex, and sheep, antelopes. Deers like hangul, Kashmiri stag, and Sikkim stag, and muscadium. Marmots and mouse hares, golden eagle, snow cows, snow partridges, snow leopard, wolf fox, cats, black and brown bears, birds like Himalayan monal pheasants, western tragopan, kuklas, griffon vultures, lammergeiers, shouks, ravens, etc. Eastern Himalayas. Flora. Oaks, magnolias, laurels, and birches covered with moss and ferns. Coniferous forests of pine, fir, yew, and junipers, with undergrowth of scrubby rhododendrons and dwarf bamboos. Lichens, mosses, orchids, and other epiphytes dominant due to high humidity and high rainfall. Fauna. Red panda, hog badgers, forest badgers, crestless porcupines, goat antelopes, etc. Indian desert. Flora. Thorny trees having reduced leaves, cacti, other succulents are the main plants. Fauna. Animals are mostly burrowing ones. Among mammals, rodents are the largest group. Great Indian bustard, wild ass, black buck, desert cat, caracal, red fox, reptiles like snakes, lizards, and tortoise are well represented. Desert lizards include agamids, lacertids, and geckos. Tropical rainforest region, distributed in areas of western Ghats and northeast India. Flora. Extensive grasslands interspersed with densely forested gorges of evergreen vegetation known as sholas occur in the Nilgiris and offshoot of Western Ghats. The main forests of the Western Ghats have dense and lofty trees with much species diversity. Mosses, ferns, epiphytes, orchids, lianas, and vines, herbs, shrubs make diverse habitats. Every trees are predominant in these forests. A variety of tropical orchids are found. Stratification in rainforest is very distinct and three horizontal layers are distinguished. Fauna. There are wild elephants, gaur, and other large animals. Most species are tree dwellers. The most prominent one are hulluk gibbon, only ape found in India, golden langur, capped langur or leaf monkey, Assam macaque, and the pig-tailed macaque, lion-tailed macaque, Nilgiri langur, slender loris, bats, giant squirrel, civets, flying squirrels, Nilgiri mongoose, spiny mouse, etc. Andaman and Nicobar Islands. Flora. These are home to tropical rainforests. Fauna. Among marine mammals, there are dugong, false killer whale, dolphin, etc. Among birds, a rare one is Narcondam hornbill, Nicobar pigeon, and megapod. There are also other birds like white-bellied sea eagle, white-breasted swiftlet, and several fruit pigeons. Migratory bird species. Siberian cranes. Siberian cranes are snowy white color birds and are winter migrants to India. These cranes are omnivorous in nature and breeds in the Arctic tundra region of Russia and Siberia. Siberian cranes are critically endangered species of migratory birds. They wintered in Bharatpur Keoladio National Park till 2002. Amur falcon. Amur falcons are small raptor species that breed in Siberia and migrate to southern Africa. During migration in large flocks across northeast India and over the Arabian Sea, they feed around Doyang Lake in Nagaland in the evening or early in the morning during the winter season. Amur falcons was massacred in Nagaland during the migration, but because of conservation India, the raptor is now a protected species and a successful campaign was begun to prevent their killing. Greater flamingo. Greater flamingo is the largest among all species of flamingo family found in the Indian subcontinent. The migratory bird found in parts of Kijadia Bird Sanctuary, Nal Sarovar Bird Sanctuary, Flamingo City, and in the Toll Bird Sanctuary of Gujarat during the entire winter season. Greater flamingo and lesser flamingo are the most beautiful migratory birds found in India. At Suri Mudflats, Chilka Lake, Bigwan Bird Sanctuary, and Javai Dam Sanctuary, which are the few best places to spot flamingos in India. Black winged stilt. Black winged stilt is a wonder bird with a very long leg and became a regular migrant to India and is usually found around the world. The bird has five subspecies named black-necked stilt, white-backed stilt, black-winged stilt, white-headed stilt. The breeding habit of all these species of stilts is shallow lakes, marshes, and ponds. Pune shallow lakes, Vasai wetlands, and Gujarat water ponds are few places to spot black-winged stilt. Blue-tailed bee eater. Blue-tailed bee eater. Blue-tailed bee-eater is a strongly migratory bird found seasonally found in parts of peninsular India. This species is richly colored and most often seen near large water bodies like lakes. Blue-tailed bee-eater nest under the ground in open flat areas or sandy banks near water bodies and predominantly feed on honeybees, Indian bees, wasps, and hornet. Green-white pelican. The great white pelican also known as rosy pelican, is a large bird with a long beak and a large throat pouch distributed in Eastern Europe, Africa, and northwestern parts of India. This species migrates to India during winters in large numbers and settles down mainly in the states of Uttar Pradesh, Assam, Rajasthan, and Gujarat. IUCN Red List. Introduction. It is published by the International Union for Conservation of Nature, located in Morges, Switzerland. The IUCN Red List is a critical indicator of the health of world's biodiversity. Far more than a list of species and their status, it is a powerful tool to inform and catalyze action. For biodiversity conservation and policy change, critical to protecting the natural resources we need to survive. It provides information about the range, population size, habitat and ecology, and use and or trade, threats and conservation actions that will help inform necessary conservation decisions. How is the red list used? IUCN red list data are used for a variety of purposes. International agreements use IUCN red list data to guide decision making and as indicator of the status of nature. These include but are not limited to agreements such as CITES, the Ramsar Convention, UN Sustainable Development Goals, and CBDIG targets. World Bank Group Performance Standard PS6 uses the IUCN Red List Index to minimize the risk to biodiversity from large-scale infrastructure and natural resource extraction projects. Government agencies rely on IUCN Red List data to guide policies such as national parks regulations. Zoos use the IUCN Red List categories to educate the public about species status. Scientists use the IUCN Red List data as a primary data source in their analysis and publications. Categories of Red Lists. The IUCN Red List categories and criteria are intended to be an easily and widely understood system for classifying species at high risk of global extinction. It divides species into the following nine categories: not evaluated, data deficient, least concerned, near threatened, vulnerable, endangered, critically endangered, extinct in the wild, and extinct. Threatened species are those listed under the following three categories such as CREN and VU, that is critically endangered, endangered and vulnerable categories. Extinct. Extinct when there is no reasonable doubt that the last individual has died. Extinct in the wild, EW, a taxon in extinct in the wild when it is known only to survive in cultivation in captivity or as a naturalized population or populations well outside the past range. Critically endangered. Critically criteria for determining critically endangered species, reduction in the population, more than 90% over the last 10 years, population size a number less than 50 mature individuals, quantitative analysis showing the probability of extinction in the wild in at least 50% in their 10 years. Therefore, it is considered to be facing an extremely high risk of extinction in the wild. Endangered. Criteria for endangered. Reduction in population size 70% over the last 10 years. Population size estimated to be number fewer than 250 mature individuals. Quantitative analysis shows that the probability of extinction in wild in at least 20% within 20 years. Therefore, it is considered to be facing a very high risk of extinction in the wild. Vulnerable. Criteria for vulnerable: reduction in the population more than 50% over the last 10 years, population size estimated to number fewer than 10,000 mature individuals, probability of extinction in wild is at least 10% within 100 years. It is therefore considered to be facing a high risk of extinction in the wild. List of threatened species. Critically endangered. Critically endangered mammals are pygmy hog, Andaman white-toothed shrew and Jenkins Andaman spiny shrew, Kundana rat, large rock rat or Elvira rat, Namdapha flying squirrel, Malabar civet, Sumatran rhinoceros. Pygmy hog. It is the world's smallest wild pig with adults weighing only 8 kgs. This species constructs the nest throughout the year. The grasslands where the pygmy hog resides are crucial for the survival of other endangered species such as Indian rhinoceros, swamp deer, wild buffalo, hispid hare, Bengal florican, and swamp francolin. In 1996, a captive breeding program of the species was initiated in Assam, and some hogs were reintroduced in Sonai Rupai area in 2009. Habitat: relatively undisturbed tall terrai grasslands. Distribution: formerly the species was more widely distributed along the southern Himalayan foothills, but now is restricted to only a single remnant population in Manas Wildlife Sanctuary and its buffer reserves. So, pygmy hog in Manas Wildlife Sanctuary. Pygmy hog sucking gloves, that is Hematopinus oliveri, a parasite that feeds only on pygmy hogs, will also fall in the same risk category of critically endangered, as its survival is linked to that of the host species. Threats: the main threats are loss and degradation of grasslands, dry season burning, livestock grazing, and afforestation of grasslands. Hunting is also a threat to remnant populations. Andaman white-toothed shrew and Jenkins Andaman spiny shrew. They are endemic to India. They are usually active by twilight or in the night and have specialized habitat requirements. Habitat: leaf litter and rock crevices. Distribution: the Andaman white-toothed shrew is found on Mount Harriet in the South Andaman Islands. The Jenkins Andaman spiny shrew is found on Right Mayo and Mount Harriet in the South Andaman Islands. The Nicobar white-tailed shrew, Crocidura nicobarica, is found in the southern tip of Greater Nicobar Island and is also recorded in the area extending from the Campbell Bay National Park to the Galathea River in the Andaman and Nicobar Islands. Threats: habitat loss due to selective logging, natural disasters such as tsunami and drastic weather changes. Gondwana rat. It is nocturnal burrowing rodent that is found only in India. It is sometimes known to build nests. Habitat: tropical and subtropical dry deciduous and tropical scrub. Distribution: known only from the small Srinagar plateau about 1 square kilometer near Pune in Maharashtra. Threats: major threats are habitat loss, overgrazing of vegetation, and disturbance from tourism and recreational activities. Large rock rat or Elvira rat. It is a medium-sized nocturnal and burrowing rodent. It is also endemic to India. Habitat: tropical dry deciduous shrubland forest seen in rocky areas. Distribution known only from eastern Ghats of Tamil Nadu. Threats: major threats are habitat loss, conversion of forests, and fuel wood collection. Namdapha flying squirrel. It is a unique, the only one in its genus flying squirrel that is restricted to a single valley in the Namdapha National Park in Arunachal Pradesh. Flying squirrels are mammals too, but they don't really fly. They jump from a high in a tree, glide through the air like a kite. Habitat: tropical forests, threats: hunted for food. Malabar civet. It is considered to be one of the world's rarest mammals. It is endemic to India and was first reported from Travancore, Kerala. Habitat: wooded plains and hill slopes of evergreen rainforests. Distribution: Western Ghats. Threats: deforestation and commercial plantations are major threats to Malabar civet. Sumatran rhinoceros, already extinct from India. It is the smallest and the most endangered of the five rhinoceros species. It is now thought to be regionally extinct in India, though it once occurred in the foothills of the Himalayas and northeast India. Even Java rhinoceros is also believed to be extinct in India, and only a small number survive in Java and Vietnam. Critically endangered birds are Jerdon's courser, white-bellied heron, Bengal florican, Himalayan quail, pink-headed duck, sociable lapwing, spoon-billed sandpiper, Siberian crane, vultures, great Indian bustard. Jerdon's cursor. It is a flagship species for the extremely threatened scrub jungle. The species was considered to be extinct until it was rediscovered in 1986, and the area of rediscovery was subsequently declared as the Langamalleshwara Wildlife Sanctuary. Distribution: Jordan's cursor is endemic to Andhra Pradesh. Threats: clearing of scrub jungle, creation of new pastures, growing of dry land crops, plantations of exotic trees, quarrying, and the construction of Telugu Ganga Canal. Illegal trapping of birds is also a threat. White-bellied heron, extremely rare bird found in 5 or 6 sites in Assam and Arunachal Pradesh, 1 or 2 sites in Bhutan, and a few in Myanmar. Rivers with sand or gravel bars or inland lakes is the habitat. Distribution: Bhutan and northeast India to the hills of Bangladesh and North Myanmar. Threats: loss and degradation of lowland forests and wetlands through direct exploitation and disturbance by humans. Bengal florican, a rare bustard species that is very well known for its mating dance. Habitat: grasslands occasionally interspersed with scrublands. Distribution: native to only 3 countries in the world: Cambodia, India, and Nepal. In India, it occurs in 3 states, namely Uttar Pradesh, Assam, and Arunachal Pradesh. Threats: ongoing conversion of the bird's grassland habitat for various purposes, including agriculture, is mainly responsible for its population decline. Himalayan quail. It is presumed to be extinct since no reliable records of sightings of this species exist after 1876. Possible sighting of this species was reported in Nainital in 2003. The Himalayan quail is native to India, found only in the mountains of Uttarakhand in northwest Himalayas. Habitat: tall grass and scrub on steep hillsides. Distribution: Western Himalayas. Threats: indiscriminate hunting during the colonial period along with the habitat modification. Pink-headed duck. It has not been conclusively recorded in India since 1949. Males have a deep pink head and neck from which the bird derived its name. Habitat: overgrown still water pools, marshes and swamps in lowland forests and tall grasslands. Distribution: recorded in India, Bangladesh, and Myanmar. Maximum records are from northeast India. Threats: wetland degradation and loss of habitat, along with hunting, are the main causes of its decline. Sociable lapwing. It is a winter migrant to India. This species has suffered a sudden and rapid population decline, due to which it is listed as critically endangered. Habitat: fallow fields and scrub desert. Distribution: Kazakhstan, Russia, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, Afghanistan, Armenia, Georgia, Azerbaijan, Iran, Iraq, Saudi Arabia, Syria, Turkey, Egypt, India, Pakistan, and Oman. In India, distribution is restricted to the north and the northwest of the country. Threats: conversion of habitat to arable land, illegal hunting, and proximity to human settlements. Spoon-billed sandpiper. It requires highly specialized breeding habitat, a constraint that has always kept its population scarce. India is home to some of the last existing wintering grounds of this species. Habitat: coastal areas with sparse vegetation, no breeding records further inland than 7 kilometers from the seashore. Distribution has been recorded in West Bengal, Odisha, Kerala, and Tamil Nadu. Threats: habitat degradation and land reclamation. Human disturbance also leads to a high incidence of nest desertion. Siberian crane. It is a large, strikingly majestic migratory bird that breeds and winters in wetlands. It is known to visit Colorado National Park, Rajasthan during winter. However, the last documented sighting of the bird was in 2002. Habitat: wetland areas located in Colorado National Park in Rajasthan. Threats: pesticide pollution, wetland drainage, development of prime habitat into agricultural fields, and to some extent hunting. Vultures. Out of the 9 species of vultures, the population of 3 species has declined so abruptly that all 3 are considered critically endangered, such as white-backed vulture Gyps bengalensis, slender-billed vulture Gyps tenuirostris, and long-billed vulture Gyps indicus. The red-headed vulture has also suffered a rapid decline in the recent past. Habitat, forest, villages, etc. Distribution across India. Threats. A major threat to vultures is the painkiller diclofenac used by veterinarians to treat cattle. When vultures consume these carcasses, diclofenac enters their system but they are unable to metabolize it. Accumulation of diclofenac results in gout-like symptoms such as neck drooping, ultimately leading to death. Vultures keep the environment clean by scavenging on animal carcasses. The decline in vulture populations has associated with the following 2 diseases. Disease risk including increased risk of spread of rabies and anthrax, and besides adversely impacting the observance of last rites of the Parsis in the Towers of Silence. Great Indian Bustard. It is a bustard found in India and the adjoining regions of Pakistan. It has an ostrich-like appearance. This bird is among the heaviest of the flying birds. Large expanses of dry grasslands and scrub are the habitat. Distribution. They are confined mostly at the arid regions of Rajasthan, Gujarat, and the Ahmednagar district of Maharashtra. Today, the very few birds survive, and the species is on the brink of extinction, being critically endangered by hunting and loss of habitat. Critically endangered reptiles. Critically endangered reptiles are gharial, hawksbill turtle, four-toed river terrapin or river terrapin, red-crowned roof turtle or the Bengal roof turtle. Gharial. It is one of the most uniquely evolved crocodilians in the world, a specialized river-dwelling fish eater. Now extinct in Myanmar, Pakistan, Bhutan, and Bangladesh, habitat clean rivers with sandbanks. Distribution only viable population in the National Chambal Sanctuary, spread across 3 states of Uttar Pradesh, Rajasthan, and Madhya Pradesh in India. Small non-breeding population exist in Son, Gandak, Hooghly, and Ghagra rivers. Threats: the combined effects of dams, barrages, artificial embankments, change in river course, pollution, sand mining, riparian agriculture, and ingress of domestic and feral livestock caused irreversible loss of riverine habitat and consequently of the gharial. Hawksbill turtle. It is a heavily exploited species. The species is migratory in nature and nesting occurs in about 70 countries across the world. Maturation is slow and it's estimated between 25 to 40 years. Habitat. Nesting occurs on insular sandy beaches. Distribution. In India, they are found in the Andaman and Nicobar Islands, the coast of Tamil Nadu and Odisha. Threats. Turtle shell trade, egg collection, slaughter for meat, oil pollution, and destruction of nesting and foraging habitats. Four-toed river terrapin or river terrapin. It is an omnivorous turtle which makes them an essential part of the efficient cleanup systems of aquatic habitats. Habitat: freshwater rivers and lakes. Distribution: Bangladesh, Cambodia, India, Indonesia, and Malaysia. Threats: use of flesh for medicinal purposes, demand for eggs, which are considered a delicacy. Red-crowned roof turtle or the Bengal roof turtle. It is mainly restricted to the Ganga basin. Males have a bright red coloration during the breeding season. Habitat: deep flowing rivers but with terrestrial nest sites. Distribution: found in India, Bangladesh, and Nepal. In India, it resides basically in the watershed of the Ganga. Critically endangered fishes: Pondicherry shark, Ganges shark, knife-toothed sawfish, large-toothed sawfish, long-comb sawfish, or narrow-snout sawfish. Pondicherry shark. It is a marine fish that occurs or occurred inshore on continental and insular shelves. This is a very rare and little known species. Habitat and distribution: the Indian Ocean from the Gulf of Oman to Pakistan, India, Sri Lanka, China, Malaysia, and Indonesia. In scattered localities spanning India to New Guinea. Also been recorded at the mouth of the Hooghly River. Ganges shark. It is a uniquely adapted fish-eating shark that occurs in the turbid waters of the Ganga River and the Bay of Bengal. The small eyes suggest that it is adapted to living in turbid water, while the slender teeth of the species suggest that it is primarily a fish eater. Habitat and distribution: it occurs in India and possibly in Pakistan. The Ganga River system and the Hooghly River mouth are its known habitats. Threats: major fisheries targeting sharks. Other probable threats include overfishing, pollution, increasing river use, and construction of dams and barrages. A few jaws of the species were found to have been traded in the international market during recent years, which testifies that the species is not extinct. Knife-toothed sawfish. It has a long, narrow snout with blade-like teeth and a shark-like body. Habitat: it spends most of its time near the bottom of the sea. It is found in shallow coastal waters and estuaries. Distribution: widespread in the western part of the Indo-Pacific region, including the Red Sea. Threats: the principal threat to all sawfish are fisheries, targeted bycatch, commercial, and subsistence. Their long tooth-studded saw makes them extraordinarily vulnerable to entanglement, any sort of net gear, including primitive fishing contraptions. When sawfish are caught in bycatch, they often end up being traded because of the very high value of their products. Meat is high quality and fins and saws extremely valuable in the international trade. Large tooth sawfish. They are heavy-bodied sawfish with a short but massive saw and grow up to 3 meters in length. It is seasonally and very occasionally caught along with the bull sharks and green sawfish. Habitat and distribution: western part of the Indo-Pacific, East Africa to New Guinea, Philippines and Vietnam to Australia. In India, it is known to enter the Mahanadi River up to 64 kilometers inland and also is very common in the estuaries of the Ganga and Brahmaputra. Long-combed sawfish or narrow snout sawfish, Pristis zitzron. It grows up to more than 4 meters in length and is heavily exploited by humans. Habitat: this species was reported as frequently found in shallow water. It inhabits muddy bottoms and also enters estuaries. Its presence has been recorded in shore marine waters and it goes down to depths of at least 40 meters. Distribution: Indo-Pacific region including Australia, Cambodia, China, India, Indonesia, and Malaysia. Threats: this species has been damaged intensively both as a target species and as incidental bycatch in commercial, sport, or shark control net fisheries as well as for aquarium display. As a result, it has become severely depleted in recent decades and now appears to have been extirpated from many parts of its range. Critically endangered amphibians: Andamalai flying frog, Gundia Indian frog, Kerala Indian frog, Kuchigehara bubble nest frog, sacred grove bush frog, and tiger toad. Andamalai flying frog. It is confined to rainforest of southwestern Ghats and lives at elevations greater than 1000 meters above sea level. Distribution: it is found in Antiparai Shola, Puthotottam and Anamalai hills of Tamil Nadu and Kerala. Threats: Conversion of forests to cultivated land, including timber and non-timber plantations outside the Indira Gandhi National Park, and extraction of wood and timber by local people are the major threats to this species. Bundia Indian frog. It is found at an elevation of around 200 meters above mean sea level. Distribution. Known only to exist in Bundia, Kempuhole in the Western Ghats region of Karnataka, South India. Threats. Habitat loss caused due to intensive livestock production, harvesting of wood and timber by local people, road construction, and the development of tourism facilities. Kerala Indian frog. It is found at elevations of around 500 meters above mean sea level due to the presence of the prominent warts and tubercles of various sizes and granular folds on its dorsal surface. It is commonly also known as toad-skinned frog. Distribution. And the Malay hills of Kerala and the Tamil Nadu in the western parts of South India. Threats. Habitat loss due to subsistence wood collection is the major threat to this species. Quettigehara bubble nest frog. It is only known to occur in Quettigehara, Kadur in the western Ghats of Karnataka state. Its distribution is restricted to an elevation around 1000 meters above mean sea level. Distribution. This species is known to occur in Quettigehara, Kadur in the Hassan district and Bhadra in Chikmagalur district, Karnataka, India. Threats. Habitat loss as a result of conversion to agriculture, including paddy fields and cash crops such as coconut and cashew. Sacred Grove bush frog. It is known to occur only in Madhya Pradesh. Distribution. Known only to occur in Kapildhara Falls, Amarkantak, Jabalpur district, Madhya Pradesh. Threats. Habitat loss due to the harvesting of wood for subsistence purposes, infrastructure development for tourism, and occurrences of fires are the major threats to this species. Tiger toad. It was discovered in 2009 from Amboli in the western Ghats of Maharashtra state. It is found at an altitude of around 720 meters above mean sea level. Distribution found only in Amboli, Sindhudurg district, Maharashtra. Threats. Loss of forest and habitat fragmentation. Critically endangered spiders. Rameshwaram ornamental or Rameshwaram parachute spider, Guti tarantula or metallic tarantula or peacock tarantula. Rameshwaram ornamental or Rameshwaram parachute spider. It was recently described in 2004 and is only found in India. It can give a nasty bite which usually is not fatal. The species is semi-social, which means they live partly in the groups. Arboreal and tend to live in hiding is the habitat. Distribution endemic to India, spread along the coastal savanna, tropical lowland rainforests and montane forests up to an altitude of 2000 meters above mean sea level. Booty tarantula, metallic tarantula, or peacock tarantula. Steel blue in color with patches of intense orange, yellow, black, and white. It was first found in Guti, that is Uti or Udagamandalam, in South India in a bird pile during railway construction. It has been in great demand in the illegal pet trade. Habitat: wooded mountain area, distribution endemic to South India. Endangered. Endangered mammals. Asiatic lion, dhole, that is Asiatic white dhole or Indian wild dog, Sangai deer or elves deer, golden langur, hog deer, Himalayan musk deer, hispid hare, lion-tailed macaque, Nilgiri tar, red panda, Indian pangolin, hulog gibbon, Asiatic lion. Found in the Gir forest in Kathiawar region of Gujarat, India, one of the five major big cats found in India, other being the Bengal tiger, Indian leopard, the snow leopard and leopards, prey mainly on cattle, deer, pig and other herbivore, excessive hunting, habitat destruction, decline in natural prey and human interference have reduced their number. Dhole or Asiatic wild dog or Indian wild dog, very social animals which are they live in groups called as clans. Distribution rural population is present in around a dozen countries, including Bhutan, South China, India, Malaysia, Sumatra, Tibet, and throughout Southeast Asia. Habitat. They are highly adaptable to their environment. They generally live in deciduous and evergreen forests as well as alpine steppes. They are most often spotted in open spaces in the jungle, such as on trails, roads, and along rivers where they don't live in plains or deserts. Threats as their prey populations dwindle, wild Indian dogs are forced to look for other sources of food. The wild dogs of Asia have also been infected and affected by diseases introduced through domesticated animals, particularly cats and dogs. Sangai deer or El's deer or Tamin or Bro antlered deer. It is an endemic and rare subspecies of brow-antlered deer only in Manipur. They are found. It is also the state animal of Manipur. Its habitat is restricted to the marshy wetland of Kibul Lamjao or Loktak Lake, which is locally called Kumdi, floating mass of entangled vegetation formed by the accumulation of organic debris and biomass with soil, popularly known as dancing deer of Manipur. Golden langur distribution found in the small region of the western Assam and in the neighboring foothills of the Black Mountains of Bhutan. Hog deer. The hog deer runs through the forests with its head hung low. It is a hog-like manner so that it duck under obstacles instead of leaping over them as most other deer do. Habitat and distribution northern India. Himalayan musk deer or white-bellied musk deer. Kashmir, Kumaon, and Sikkim is the distribution. Musk deer lacks antlers, but they possess a pair of enlarged canines that grow continuously. Deer musk is a substance with a persistent odor obtained from a gland of the male musk deer. Only males produce the musk. The substance has been used as a perfume, fixative, incense material, and medicine. Hispid hare or Assam rabbits. Southern foothills of central Himalayas. Habitat of hispid hares is highly fragmented due to the increased agriculture, flood control, and developmental activities. Lion-tailed macaque or vantero. Endemic to Western Ghats, do not live, feed, or travel through plantations. Avoid human presence. Lion-tailed macaques live in southwest India in pockets of evergreen forests called sholas in the Western Ghats range. Today, they only live in mountain forests in the three Indian forests, that is of Karnataka, Kerala, and Tamil Nadu. Captive breeding, Arignad Anna Zoological Park, Chennai, and in Mysore Zoo. Nilgiri tar. It is the largest of the three tar species inhabit mountain grasslands of Western Ghats. It is the state animal of Tamil Nadu. Sholas forest, stunted evergreen forest are typically avoided by tar. Both male and female have curved horns, but they are larger than the males. Adult males develop a slight gray area on their backs, and thus they are called as saddlebags. Red panda. It is a mammal native to the eastern Himalayas and southwestern China. The population continues to decline due to habitat loss and fragmentation, poaching, and inbreeding depression. It is arboreal, that is, lives in trees, feeds mainly on bamboo, but also eats eggs, birds, and insects. It is solitary animal, active from dusk to dawn, and is largely sedentary during the day. It is also called red bear cat or the lesser panda and the red cat bear. Indian pangolin. It has large overlapping scales on the body which acts as armor. The massive scaled armor of this animal, which covers its upper face and its whole body, does not cover the belly and inner side of the legs. It will also curl itself into a ball as self-defense against predators such as the tiger. The color of its scales varies depending on the earth's color in its surroundings. It is an insectivore that feeds on ants and termites. Western hoodlock gibbon. It is the only ape to be found in India. It is the most accomplished acrobat of all the apes. Habitat. It is found in Bangladesh and in some parts of China and Myanmar. It lives in the dense forests of the northeastern India. Its range extends into seven states covering Arunachal Pradesh, Assam, Manipur, Meghalaya, Mizoram, Nagaland, and Tripura. Endangered birds are forest owlet, greater adjutant stork, blue robin, and Narcondam hornbill. Forest owlet. It had been lost for more than a century. After 113 long years, the owlet was rediscovered in 1997 and reappeared on the list of Indian birds. Habitat is dry deciduous forest. Distribution South Madhya Pradesh in north West Maharashtra and north central Maharashtra. Threats: logging operations, burning and cutting of trees damage roosting and nesting trees of the forest owlets. Greater adjutant stork. They disperse widely after the breeding season. This large stork has a massive wedge-shaped bill, a bare head, and a distinctive neck pouch. During the day, they soar in the thermals along with vultures, with whom they share the habitat of scavenging. They are opportunistic and will sometimes prey on vertebrates. Habitat and distribution. It was previously found widely across southern Asia, mainly in India, but extending east Borneo. The greater adjutant is now restricted to a much smaller range with only three breeding populations, two in India with largest colony in Assam, some 400 around Bhagalpur, and another breeding population in Cambodia. In the 19th century, they were especially common in the city of Calcutta, where they were referred as the Calcutta adjutant. Known locally as Hargina, derived from Bengali words for bone swallower, and considered to be unclean birds, they were largely left undisturbed but sometimes hunted for the use of their meat in folk medicine. Valued as scavengers, they were once depicted in the logo of the Calcutta Municipal Corporation. Blue robin, nilgiri and white-bellied. They are small birds found on the forest floor and underground of dense forest patches, sheltered in the valleys of montane grassland and restricted and threatened habitat. Both are endemic to the high altitude shola forests of the higher hills of southern India, mainly north of Palbhaj Gap. Distribution. Populations are also found in the Nilgiris, the Baba Budan Hills, and the Brahmagiri. Narcondam hornbills. It is endemic to the Indian island of Narcondam in the Andamans. Males and females have a distinct plumage. The Narcondam hornbill has the smallest home range out of all the species of Asian hornbills. Habitat, forest, and shrublands. Endangered fish, Gangetic dolphin. Ganges dolphin, the MOFC has notified the Ganges river dolphin as the national aquatic animal. The river dolphin's habitat is Ganges, Brahmaputra, and Meghna and Karnapuli Sangu river systems of Nepal, India, and Bangladesh. They are listed in Schedule 1 of the Wildlife Protection Act 1972. The Ganges dolphin is among the four obligate freshwater dolphins found in the world. The other three are the Baiji found in the Yangtze River, China, the Bhulan of the Indus, Pakistan, and the Boto of the Amazon River, Latin America. Vulnerable. Olive ridley turtles, leatherback turtle, great Indian one-horned rhinoceros, Sarus crane are the vulnerable animals. Olive ridley turtles. These turtles are solitary, preferring the open ocean. They migrate hundreds or even thousands of miles every year and come together as a group only once a year when females return to the beaches where they hatched and lumber onshore sometimes in thousands to nest. In the Indian Ocean, the majority of olive ridleys nest in two or three large bundles near Gahirmata in the Odisha. However, presently olive ridleys are considered a rarity in most areas of the Indian Ocean. Leatherback turtle, largest of the living sea turtle, they are excellent swimmers. Jellyfish is their primary food. Habitat is tropical and subtropical ocean. The distribution is found in the tropical and temperate waters of Atlantic, Pacific, and into Indian Oceans. Threats: high sea fishing operations, harvesting of eggs, destruction of nests by wild predators, etc. Great Indian one-horned rhinoceros, they are found only in the tall grasslands and forests in the foothills of the Himalayas. National parks where great Indian one-horned rhinoceros is found is Kaziranga National Park, Pavitora Wildlife Sanctuary, and Manas National Park. Sarus crane is a large non-migratory crane, tallest among the flying birds. Forage mainly dependent on food for on marshes and shallow wetlands. Like other cranes, they form long-lasting pair bonds and maintain territories. List of near threatened. Cispara, day gecko, markhor, wild ass. List of least concerned are Kashmir stag or hangul, black buck, Himalayan brown bear or red bear, Himalayan monal, conservation efforts international. CITES, Convention on the International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora. CITES is an international agreement between governments. It was signed on March 3, 1973, and therefore World Wildlife Day is celebrated on 3rd March. It is administered by the United Nations Environment Programme and its secretariat is located in Geneva, Switzerland. CITES is a legally binding instrument. Its aim is to ensure that international trade in specimens of wild animals and plants does not threaten their survival. It is an international agreement to regulate worldwide commercial trade in plant species and wild animals. It also restricts trade in items made from such plants and animals such as food, medicine, clothing, and souvenirs. It classifies animals and plants into three categories or appendices based on how threatened they are. Appendix 1, Danger of extinction, prohibits commercial trade. Appendix 2, Not threatened with extinction but that might suffer. A permit system is used to regulate their trade. Appendix 3, Protected in at least one country, which is a CITES member state. Traffic, Trade record analysis of flora and fauna in commerce. Traffic was established in 1976 and was developed into a global network research driven and action oriented, committed to delivering innovative and practical conservation solutions based on the latest information. Traffic, the Wildlife Trade Monitoring Network, is a joint program of WWF and IUCN. Traffic works to ensure that trade in wild plants and animals is not a threat to the conservation of nature. Traffic has gained its greatest reputation from supporting sites. Since traffic was created in 1976, it has helped with the evolution of this international wildlife trade treaty. Traffic focuses on leveraging resources, expertise, and awareness of the latest globally urgent species trade issues such as tiger parts, elephant ivory, and rhino horn. Large-scale commercial trade in commodities like timber and fisheries products are also addressed and linked to work on developing rapid results and policy improvements. Bonn Convention. The Convention on the Conservation of Migratory Species of Wild Animals Bonn Convention was adopted in Bonn, Germany in 1979 and came into force in 1985. Contracting parties work together to conserve migratory species and their habitats by providing strict protection for endangered migratory species listed in Appendix 1 of the Convention. This convention involves concluding multilateral agreements for the conservation and management of migratory species. Appendix 1, Threatened migratory species. Threatened with extinction, afford them strict protection, strive towards strictly protecting these animals, conserving or restoring, mitigating and controlling. CMS promotes concerted action among the range states of many of these species. Appendix 2, Migratory species requiring international cooperation. Near or would significantly benefit from international cooperation, either individually or by taxonomic group, regional or global. Conservation efforts national. Wildlife Protection Act 1972. Wildlife Protection Act 1972 consists of six schedule lists which give varying degrees of protection. Poaching, smuggling, and illegal trade of animals listed Schedule 1 to Schedule 4 are prohibited. Animals listed in Schedule 1 and Part 2 of the Schedule 2 have absolute protection. Examples of animals listed in Schedule 1 are lion-tailed macaque, rhinoceros, great Indian bustard, naquandam, hornbill, Nicobar megapod, blackbuck, etc. Examples of animals listed in Schedule 2 are rhesus macaque, dhole, Bengal porcupine, king cobra, flying squirrel, Himalayan brown bear, etc. Animals listed in Schedule 3 and Schedule 4 are also protected, but the penalties are lower compared to Schedule 1 and Part 2 of Schedule. Examples of animals listed in Schedule 3 are hyena, hog deer, nilgai, goral, spongers, batu, deer, etc. Examples of animals listed in Schedule 4 are mongooses, vultures, etc. Animals listed in Schedule 5 are called vermin, which can be hunted. Mice, rat, common crow, and flying fox are the list of animals, only four in Schedule 5. Cultivation, collection, extraction, trade, etc. of plants and its derivatives listed in Schedule 6 are prohibited. Red wanda, white wanda, kut, pitcher plant, beddomes, cycad, and lady's slipper orchid are the list of plants listed in Schedule 6. National Forest Policy 1988. Joint Forest Management, Biological Diversity Act of 2002, Project Tiger, National Tiger Conservation Authority, Tiger Census 2018, M Stripes, List of tiger reserves. M stripes is very important. Monitoring system for tigers' intensive protection and ecological status is a software-based monitoring system launched across Indian tiger reserves by the Indian government's National Tiger Conservation Authority in 2010. The system's objective is to strengthen the patrolling and surveillance of the endangered Bengal tiger. Forest guards in tiger reserves are equipped with personal digital assistants and GPS devices. List of tiger reserves. As of December 2018, there are 50. As of 2023, there are 54 tiger reserves. The oldest tiger reserve is Corbett Tiger Reserve, which was declared in the year 1973 under Project Tiger. Whereas Kamlang Tiger Reserve, as of now, Ghasi, I think, Ghasi Das, is the newest tiger reserve. Andhra Pradesh, Nagarjuna Sagar Srisailam, Arunachal Pradesh, Namdapha, Pakki and Kamlang, Assam, Manas, Nameri, Kaziranga, Orang, Bihar, Valmiki, Chhattisgarh, Indravati, Udanti, Sitanadi, Achanakmar, Jharkhand, Palamau, Kerala, Periyar and Parambipuram, Karnataka, Bandipur, Bhadra, Nagarhole, Dandeli, Anshi, Kali, Bilgiri, Ranganatha Temple, Mizoram, Dampa, Madhya Pradesh, Kanha, Pench, Bandhavgarh, Panna, Satpura and Sanjay Dubri, Maharashtra, Melghat, Tadoba, Andhari, Pench, Sahyadri, Navegaon, Nagzira, Bor, Odisha, Simlipal, Satkoshia, Rajasthan, Ranthambore, Sariska and Mukundra Hills, Telangana, Kawal and Amrabad, Tamil Nadu, Calicut, Mundatturai, Anavalai, Mudumalai, Satyamangalam, Uttar Pradesh, Judwa, Amangarh, Buffet of Corbett Tiger Reserve, Pilibhit, Uttarakhand, Corbett, Rajaji, West Bengal, Sundarbans, Baksa. Project Elephant. Project Elephant was launched in February 1992 as a centrally sponsored scheme. It aims to assist the states in having free-ranging populations of wild animals and to ensure long-term survival of identified viable populations of elephants in their natural habitats. It is implemented in 13 states and UTs, namely Andhra Pradesh, Arunachal Pradesh, Karnataka, Assam, Jharkhand, Kerala, Meghalaya, Nagaland, Odisha, Tamil Nadu, Uttarakhand, Uttar Pradesh, and West Bengal. Gaji Yatra, securing 100 elephant corridors across India, launched on World Elephant Day, led by the Worldwide Trust of India and International Fund for Animal Welfare and NGOs from Tura in Garo Hills, Meghalaya in 2018. Hathi Mere Sathi by Ministry of Environment and Forest in partnership with Wildlife Trust of India to improve the conservation and welfare prospects of elephants, India's national heritage animal. The campaign was launched at the Elephant 8 ministerial meeting held in Delhi, 24th May 2011. The E8 countries comprise India, Botswana, Republic of Congo, Indonesia, Kenya, Sri Lanka, Tanzania, and Thailand. Vulture conservation. India has 9 species of vultures in the wild. They are Oriental white-back vulture, Gyps bengalensis, slender-billed vulture, Gyps tenurosis, long-billed vulture, Gyps indicus, Egyptian vulture, Neophron Percnopterus, red-headed vulture, Sarcogyps calvus, Indian griffon vulture, Gyps fulvus, Himalayan griffon, Gyps himalayensis, cinereous vulture, Aegyptius monarchus, and bearded vulture or Lamergier Gypaetus barbatus. Indian Rhino Vision of 2020. Project Snow Leopard, Sea Turtle Project, Hibernation, and that's all about different conservation methods in India.